Back into business for another enthralling battle behind these guys. In there is Garth Tander. Behind him is Russell Engel, who's pushing very hard down the back straight.
So the order, Bright, just 0.6 of a second in front of Scaife with Murphy. About 1.7 seconds behind our race leader. There's another 2.5 back to Marcus Ambrose. So still very, very tight at the top. Keep in mind, Murphy and Ambrose still to make their second compulsory stop.
This is Stephen Johnson, car number 17, the Shell Helix Sport at the Mistral. Hairpin does not become a hairpin for Steve Johnson. He ends up on the grass. Loses about 3 or 4 positions as a result of that. Stephen Richards is in front of him and Todd Kelly is behind him.
Yeah, there's no contact there. He just went a little bit too deep under brakes, locked him up. Fairly harmless mistake is out on the grass, but as you said, he lost a few positions. The order: Bright, Scaife, Murphy, Ambrose, Stephen Richards, Garth Tander, Engel, Kelly. Lowndes up to 9th now. Stephen Johnson was in 10th, but he'll drop a few spots as a result of that. So the best placed forwards at the moment: Marcus Ambrose in 4th, all the way down to Craig Lowndes in 9th. Lowndes is the first forward to have made both compulsory stops, because Ambrose still has to make one. So there's only 2 forwards in the top 10.
Yeah, and in the 21 races that we've had overall here in Adelaide on this street circuit, Holden has been 15 times on the podium with 6 race wins. 6 wins out of that, and 6 times on the podium for Ford Falcon. So Holden had the edge. What about the edge that they had last year in races overall? 70% to 30%. Rounds overall, 70% to 30% for Holden over Ford.
Russell Engel just on board with the enforcer now there. You're looking at this battle. He's involved with Garth Tander. They're fighting over 6th place. Bright, Scaife, Murphy, Ambrose, and Richards ahead of them. Onboard telemetry tells the story. Road speed on the left of your screen, engine revolutions on the right. Indicator in the middle shows gear position and brake applications every time that red strip comes on.
Russell Engel gets up the rear of Garth Tander in the Valvoline Cummins Commodore. Broke through for a win in round 10 last year at Winton. Russell Engel 2nd overall in the championship series. At 11 top 10 finishes, the enforcer. Runner-up here in Adelaide overall last year. Stephen Johnson comes in.
Yeah, that's a pretty extraordinary effort by Russell Engel. He started 21st. He's now up to 7th. And he's one of the cars to have made both compulsory stops. So he's looking pretty handy at the moment, the Castrol Commodore. Stephen Johnson. Tyre change there. So I think Stephen Johnson may have made his 2 compulsory stops. I'll confirm that for you. This battle here, Garth Tander. Great to see the Valvoline Cummins team back in contention. An indication of how fast and consistent Lowndes' car is too. He's just done his fastest lap of the race. Look at this attack under brakes too. He's going to squeeze down the inside, and Todd Kelly does it too. So Lowndes picks up another spot. That'll put him up to 8th. He's got Engel and Tander ahead of him, so he's well within this battle. The flying 00 Ford Falcon of Craig Lowndes.
And that's been the door that's open for most of the moves from the drivers. The door at number 9, the turn from the bottom of the terrace that takes you back through the left-hand sequence of the track, and that's where most of the drivers have snuck through on the inside. 33 degrees outside. Just take a look at that crowd. Absolutely amazing. Around 60,000 people here today. They keep setting records for the Clipsal 500. 166,000 people came to this event last year, and I'd say they're definitely pushing the record books once again. They certainly know how to get behind their event, the Clipsal 500, into its 4th year here. But can anyone break the Holden Racing Team dominance on this track? This man is trying to do it, pushing very hard. Craig Lowndes, your 96, 98 and 99 series champion in his 2nd year with the Ford Falcon.
Bright, Ambrose and Baird are the only cars in the top 10 now that haven't made their 2 compulsory stops. That's going to hurt Marcus Ambrose. He drops out of this queue. There he goes, just out of shot. He'll be praying for a safety car here that's going to minimise the damage when he does come in.
Here's your PlayStation 2 race score. Jason Bryant still has a pit stop to go. Mark Scaife, Greg Murphy in position number 3. Ambrose, Richards, Tander take you up to 6. Engel, Lowndes, Kelly, Bernard, Bow and Baird. That's Craig Baird, the Kiwi, driving the Team Brock car this year. unveiled just a couple of days before the Clipsal 500 out of the Rod Nash racing team.
Oscar Fiorinotto has been on the radio just moments ago to Craig Lowndes in the 00 Motorsport Falcon. At the moment, they're trying to figure out the best way to handle this situation. Do they stay in this dice with Garth Tander and Russell Ingall and pit for tyres? The answer to the question Craig was asking was, has Tander and has Russell been in for their tyres? The bad news is they have.
So lap 45 of 78, and at the moment Jason Bright is setting the pace. His fastest lap, a 124.479. Only a handful of drivers gone into the 124. Scaife is one of them. Murphy is another. Also Craig Lowndes as well. And John Bowe, who continues to be on the pace, fighting that Aussie male forward. Just take a look at how close Garth Tander gets to those wheels there, coming through turns 1 and 2. So that's at the top of Main Straight. They're pulling an extraordinary amount of speed as they come in that little chicane, the Ayrton Senna chicane. Garth Tander really dicing with danger.
Well, Lowndes is going very well here. This car's looking very strong mid-race. He's done his fastest lap of the race only a few laps ago, and you can see how he's managed to close the gap quite rapidly to this battle for 6th place once he got past Todd Kelly. So Lowndes is pushing hard in the 00 Motorsport car. He's made both his compulsory stops, as have the two cars ahead of him. Marcus Ambrose in the Pertec 40 is yet to make his second stop. That'll be for tyres. So the advantage for Ambrose will be that he's on fresher rubber, but as we've seen with this tyre, it seems to be so consistent that the level of tyre degradation and the increase in lap times doesn't seem to be pronounced whether you're on lap 5 or lap 50.
Word from the Holden Racing team is that they will leave Jason Bright out on the track until the tyres are completely and absolutely ready to be changed. Remember, he's got one more pit stop to go. So Paul Morris in car number 29 there, the Sirame Wines entry. A new sponsor on board for the Paul Morris Commodore this year.
Oh, look at this.
Craig Lowndes all over the back of this car here. This is a fantastic battle. Lowndes has been doing it to everyone. Now he's doing it to Russell Ingall. He had a crack at Stephen Richards, and he's all over the back of the other Castrol Perkins Commodore of Russell Ingall.
The green-eyed monster. Saw it make its debut at Mount Panorama last year. Got itself up into a potential race-winning situation until Lowndes crashed it in that rain squall, tricky conditions. Now he's back with a vengeance. The only man to have broken HRT's stranglehold on this race was this man, Craig Lowndes, last year in Saturday's 250k race. He wants another one.
It does not get any closer than this. Nose to tail between the Ford and the Commodore as they come back around for turn 12 and start another lap, another flying lap of the Clipsal 500. That's lap 46 done for these guys. Lap 47 is about to get underway, and the battle is only just begun between Craig Lowndes and the enforcer Russell Ingall.
6.3 seconds the gap the two Holden Racing Team cars now have over Greg Murphy. And this battle's only a couple of seconds further back down the road, so they're not that far away. Safety car here is really going to bunch up the field. It's going to allow Bright and Ambrose to duck off for their stops.
Here they come up the top of Wakefield into turn 4. Shifting through the gears for turn 5, a left-hander. Lowndes keeps his distance from Ingall. Up to turn 6 they go. Turn 7 is the one that they're having some trouble with the track. It opens up for a nice wide open ride right down Bartels Road. The car's really pushing it down through here. Up into 5th. They'll hit 6th here as they tackle the Dunlop sweeper. The Perkins Commodore keeping race pace over the top of the Ford Falcon behind him.
Russell gets a little bit untidy on the exit from the sweeper there. That shows how hard he's pushing his car. It's a little bit of a dance. Craig Lowndes is applying the pressure and it's starting to show. Russell Ingall's got his mirrors full of this Ford. Craig Lowndes under full attack. What an ominous sight.
Oscar Fiorinotto has been back on the radio again, Mark. He says to Craig, clear air, clear air. So obviously if he's getting too close to Russell there, Oscar is worried about the temperature inside the 00 Motorsport Ford. Another piece of radio chit-chat for you is the Holden Racing team to Jason Bright. Under their strategy, they're saying, Jason, at some stage in the next 10 laps, we've got to pit for tyres.
Yeah, he's got to come in soon. That's going to really hurt him. They'll be hanging out for a safety car period. Craig Lowndes, boy, how close is he to the back of the Castrol Commodore? He's not even worrying about engine temperatures at the moment. He goes up under brakes at the end of Wakefield Street over the bumps, and Lowndes gets it past. Lowndes now goes up to 7th spot.
Oh, Craig Lowndes just about driving the paint off this 00 Motorsport Ford Falcon. Russell Ingall fires back. There's going to be trouble. Oh, they averted a major incident there. Russell Ingall, and look who shoots through. A Kmart racer of Todd Kelly. So Lowndes ends up getting sandwiched in between the 3 of those cars at the end of that. And Blocker Kelly does the job, so you've got Todd Kelly shooting through, while Lowndes and Ingall were having an almighty scrap.
Well, Lowndes has just been sitting behind one Commodore. He got rid of that. Now he's got another one sitting right in front of him.
Expect Lowndes to make another move here. This is it. Turn 9 goes on the inside. It's a dangerous one, but he'll get through. Kelly gets squeezed out to the side, so the order changes again. Lowndes slots through. Kelly gets stuck in the middle, and Ingall drops to the back of that threesome.
Incredible stuff. Craig Lowndes giving it everything in the 00 Motorsport Ford. Exciting stuff mid-race. You'd think this was a 5-lap screamer, not a 78-lap enduro.
And just to think, there's another 12 rounds that we've got in the V8 Supercar Championship Series of 2002 after this. We're going to go to the Gold Coast for points. Once again, we'll be going across to New Zealand. And of course, we've got Bathurst and Sandown and Oran Park and everything still to come. This is an amazing race. Let's take a look at how it's unfolding. Nice if you've got a seat, and a relaxed seat at that. The Craig Lowndes team are looking very, very confident indeed. Jason Bright is our race leader at the moment. Mark Scape and Greg Murphy, positions 2 and 3. Ambrose Richards, Tander, that's where the fight is. Lowndes, Kelly, positions 7 and 8.
Oh, what an incredible race. The Clipsal 500 never fails to turn it on. All these cars have made their compulsory stops, from Russell Ingall, John Bow, right down to Tony Longhurst in 16th spot. 34 seconds behind our race leader.
You are watching an absolute beauty of a brawl. Make sure you come back and join us. This is the Clipsal 500 on your home of motorsport.
Pit stop for Jason Bright. His team did everything they could. They were waiting for a safety car, and would you believe the irony of this is we do have a safety car. Glenn Seton has put his car into the wall. This has been an extraordinary race. Mark Scape has engineered a situation here where he should shut down this first round, but a long way to go yet.
Another victim of the Dunlop sweeper, Billy. Look where Glenn Seton has ended up. He's come around that incredibly fast corner, and he's one of the rare ones not to have ended up another couple of 100 metres at least down here. Look at this. Glenn Seton comes in hard on the left-hand side.
Whoa, the car following him might have been one of the Castrol Commodores, almost lost it as well.
Oh.
Safety car has now joined the circuit. It was on standby. Have a look at this from another angle.
Oh. And just take a look at the concrete wall that he's left behind him.
That is incredible. The physics of that accident. Those concrete blocks weigh 4.5 tons. They're tied together, and he's knocked it back like a Lego block.
Well, you'll see him come around here. He comes in. Oh, that is so heavy. He came in tight on that corner. It almost looked as though the front of the car started to dance around. Kicked the back out and pushed the side of that Ford Credit car straight into the concrete wall. Let's take a look at it at race speed. Remember, about 230 k's coming around here. Here he comes. Wow!
Wrong, or he may have had some sort of mechanical failure. It all happens in a fraction of a second.
The team are telling me down here at the moment that they have not been able to reach Glenn on the radio, so there is some concern in the Ford Credit Racing camp. He's out of the car, so we can see that now, which is good news, but maybe just the radio gear was damaged, and the extraordinary heavy impact there for Glenn Seton.
It's not surprising the radio gear was damaged, because there is a hell of a lot of damage to that car. Another victim, Paul Radicic, fell victim to that very same corner. So too did Stephen Ellery in such an amazing impact zone.
It's rotten luck for Glenn Seton. He's scaled back to a 1-car operation for this season, hoping to build up to a 2-car team in the future. But that's a rotten way for the season to start, particularly when you only got 1 car. Stephen Ellery knows how that feels.
You know what I said to Glenn Seton talking before this race 18 years ago when he made his debut? What's the difference between the Glenn Seton then and now? And he said, well, I was probably more aggressive then, and I was prepared to take risks. Now I'm probably more conservative, and I think about the championship overall. Well, that is not a conservative way to get into turn 8.
There's something very unusual the way he goes through that corner. The car's got a very strange angle on it. I'm not quite sure what happened on the, you'd have to see him on the approach. Apparently Seto's cut his chin, we hear from the pits. He wears an open face helmet, and at that sort of impact, there's just any guess what he's hit his head on.
Take a look at the other cars that come behind him. Some of the drivers have been concerned that whilst if you go in there at that speed and have a crash on your own, you're more than likely going to end up okay, because it does have a NASCAR chute effect. It'll spin you out and spit you out down the end. You shouldn't have too much trouble. The trouble comes when the cars behind you start flying through there at 230 and you can't see what's around the other side. So those other cars have managed to avoid some pretty major carnage. Well, that's quite incredible, isn't it? And yet again, a safety car comes out on this extraordinary race.
And there have been many incidents. The start of race 2 saw a reduced field after the carnage of yesterday. A marvellous move by Greg Murphy to snatch the lead. He ambushed the front row and got to the front. Now, Max Wilson had some problems there in the centre chicane, and he was finished up out of the race. Not long after that, Max came to a grinding halt. Mark Scaife then took back his front position from Greg Murphy, and from there on has basically controlled the race. More on that. Brad Jones crashed. Paul Wheel had nowhere to go. There was traffic on the inside and Jones parked on the outside, so Paul took the most safe option and just let it go into the runoff. John Faulkner out, very upset. His team unable to find an answer in pit lane, and John clearly not happy. Neither are other drivers this weekend. There's been some hard luck stories out there. Now Jason Bright, absolutely flying through from the back of the grid, remember. He led this race for so long yesterday and then was out. Had to start from the back today. Paul Radicic out for the second time. No points at all from this 400-point round.
And that's your race update. I'll just take you through our top 10 because all of the top 10 have done their 2 compulsory pit stops. At the moment, Mark Scaife is our leader. Greg Murphy in second position. There's the PlayStation race score. Richards, Stephen in third. Garth Tander fourth. Craig Lowndes in fifth. Todd Kelly is in sixth position. Russell Ingall seventh. John Bow 8th, Jason Bright slips back to 9th, and Jason Barguana in 10th position. So Glenn Seton is out of the car. The medical attention.
You can see the plaster on his chin there, Matthew.
Well, they're very quick around here too. I mean, every incident that we've had at this Adelaide Street Circuit, the medical guys have been there in a flash, and that's good news for Glenn Seton that he's out of the car. And we mentioned that he did have a cut on his chin.
Interesting thing about that top 10 you were just reading out there. Jason Bright, he came in just before that safety car was deployed. Marcus Ambrose followed him in, and as a result they've been able to benefit from that situation. Bright has rejoined in 9th. Ambrose is 11th in the queue, and they're not that far behind the race leaders.
So we've got safety car conditions. It just means one thing, that when they restart, the biff, the battle, the brawl is back on. It's the Clipsal 500. This is Network 10's exclusive coverage. Make sure you come back and rejoin us, because we're not...